well enough to return to work, which she manages to do through sheer force of will just a couple of weeks later, still feeling not quite herself and weighing in at 94 pounds, a number her father, an orthodontist here in the city, worriedly deems the critical weight. No doubt her adored mother, gone from this earth for 2 years now and an always confident legal aid attorney but a famously big worrier when it came to Mel, would have been anxious about her too. Mel can, without any effort at all, hear her mother's openly loving voice saying, "But are you absolutely sure you're feeling well enough to go back to work so soon, Mamala?" Austin, that generous-hearted boss, has eyes that are sea green and a head of beautifully thick black hair graying at the temples. He wears topsiders and a safari jacket to work every day, along with a thin silk scarf tied around his neck. There's a lovely-looking wife whose sort of sexy, professionally photographed black and white portrait hangs on the wall of his office. And, too, the family includes his impressive 3-year-old daughter Skylar, who has mysteriously somehow taught herself to read. Austin also has a pair of skulky ex-wives who call the office from time to time complaining, Mel has heard from a colleague or two, about alimony and child support. He generally answers the phone himself, and once a month or so, Mel will come to observe, Austin will speak in the urgent, intimate voice that lets her know it's one of those ex-wives at the other end, wanting something from him, something he clearly isn't happy about handing over. But when the voice at the other end belongs to one of those brilliantly talented writers, Austin's own voice turns boisterous and is pitched at a higher volume. "Wayne, my boy, I was just thinking of you," Mel hears him say, and by the end of the conversation he's persuaded Wayne to send him the new story that has already been reworked again and again, a story Austin promises to whip into shape for him. According to Austin, Wayne Morrissey is a boozer and an occasional wife-beater, but his stories, at least when Austin gets through with them, have begun to attract attention out there in the literary world once they appear in the magazine. Austin has an unusually heavy hand when it comes to whipping those stories into shape. He sits for an hour in his windowless office across the hall from Mel's desk, an extra fine point pen poised between the fingertips of his left hand, deleting, while in his other hand there's that ever-present true blue. From her desk near the end of the linoleum typewriter-lined hallway, Mel watches, mesmerized by the swiftness with which Austin's arm sails from left to right and back again across the pages of Wayne's manuscript, the pages themselves illuminated by the column of light that shines from the single draftsman's lamp, clipped to the side of Austin's metal desk. His office is mostly dark, and Mel looks on as the smoke from his countless cigarettes rises straight up and into the lamplight. When he finishes editing, he calls out to her, "Melissa, dear heart, will you take this to the Xerox machine for me?" And each time, as he transfers the typed pages of Wayne's story from his own narrow hand to hers, she instinctively winces at the mercilessness of his editing. She's not yet officially a writer herself. The publication of her first story in a similarly glossy and even more distinguished magazine is several months away. But after only a few weeks on the job, she finds herself aching for Wayne and what has been banished from those stories of his that Austin pares down so brutally. Though Austin is overbearing in his editing, in truth, Wayne's work will gain from Austin's efforts, and Wayne, like the best of Austin's discovered talents, will in the end surpass him and find his way back to his own unforgettable voice. Wayne is talkative and friendly over the phone, eager to chat with her while Austin is out to lunch, eager to listen when Mel tells him prematurely and in her softest, shyest voice that she too is a writer. He occasionally sounds drunk when the two of them talk, but that doesn't mean she needs to discount his encouragement, does it? So what if she can readily imagine Wayne's drunken smile as she talks earnestly about her writing, about those stories focusing on her accordion teacher from her childhood, or her long-widowed grandmother, or her father's best friend who ended up in the slammer for drug dealing but eventually went on to graduate from medical school. So what if her writing is severely limited to what she knows and only what she knows? It occurs to her that Wayne must be lonely. Why else would he be spending all that time schmoozing?